and that's great, but Cuckoo has 8 really good events, so he won 8 and he got 3rd in the other one. we told him that he didn't have to try hard in the 500 free during finals, but then I felt like halfway through I go, maybe he could lap people. So halfway through the race I started going, and he's like going, I thought I got this one easy. And he was like, so he started going and started to try to lap people. So he ended up winning the High Point Award at Winter JOs. We went to CCJOs. He won every single event. Also had a little trouble with the 100 backstroke being 3 laps. So goes into the wall, does his Homer Simpson impersonation, and then turns around and pushes off, and was still top seed for the 100 back. Then we went to Spring Far Westerns. He won every event, broke 2 Far Western meet records. Sorry, Daichi. One of them was Daichi's. Broke 3 Pacific swimming records this year. One from 1984 for the 50 freestyle. Also broke the 100 free and the 100 IM. Yeah, he's pretty fast. Okay. At one time in the year, I don't think he still is, but at one time in the year, he was ranked #1 in the country in the 100 freestyle for 910 boys.
The other most valuable age group, and it's an age group award. It's almost an age group award with senior times attached to it. Daichi Matsuda. And I had to take notes. I know Daichi's kind of it seems like he keeps some statistics. We had a meeting about a year ago and talked about, it's like, hey, write down a few things that you want to improve on this coming year to get faster and get better. I think he gave me about 35 to 40 different things he wanted to work on. Again, it's an age group award, but it's really senior times. It's that transition from being that age group swimmer to being a senior swimmer. They were doing a joint workout, or a couple of them were somewhere Tony's group last summer, getting ready for a meet for sectionals, and one of Tony's seniors came up and said, oh man, Daichi, he was, read off his time in a test set. He's like, is he resting for the set? What's going on? I said, it's just really fast. Some of the times, basically top 10 all time in every single event short course for PASA, 11 events long course. It has a team record in the 100 fly, 58.7, 200 fly, 208. USA Swimming selected him last year. He went out to the Western Zone Select Camp, and he basically picked that off IMX scores, and he was able to swim with some of the fastest swimmers in the country. He was qualified for the Santa Clara International meet, but had to skip it and go out to the camp, which I think was a good decision. Top 10 in the USA in his age group in 200 fly, 400 IM. All the statistics and all the other fast times and in Pacific Swimming top 10 and everything. Keep in mind that he doesn't turn 15 until January, so he's still got a few more months. He moved up a little bit early just because of all the everything that he's done. He's ready to go, and he's definitely ready to do some senior swimming.
All right, we're in the home stretch here, down to the last 2. Thank you for your patience through all of this. I know it's kind of a long evening on a Friday. Just a couple things.
Lily would like to give you something.
Oh, let me finish the last 2. And then we'll do that. There's some extra food that the caterers left here tonight. He's a freshman at Princeton University. He was the 2nd fastest high school 200 IMer in the United States last year. He was a kid who started off barely knowing how to swim as a 5-year-old. And graduated, he skipped 3rd grade, so he graduated as a 17-year-old. He was 16 through March of his senior year. Swam at Olympic trials. Great kid, Byron Sanborn. All right, our other most valuable senior swimmer, Allie Howe. So when I categorize valuable senior swimmer, you can put everything together into sort of one overall capsule. Training, intensity of training, balancing out with schoolwork, being a good overall teammate, and you got to be pretty good. This young lady, as a sophomore in high school, 2nd fastest 100 backstroker in the United States as a high school, from the high school standpoint. At Olympic trials, one of the youngest semifinalists in the 200 backstroke, with a time that was, I believe, 2:13. Throughout the course of the year, she pops off, and this is, I think, more a result of me than her. we could go to a random meet at Rinconada, we could be at another meet, and she'll put up some pretty world-class times. She was at a meet here in November where it was fairly cold in the evening and most people wanted to go home, and she went a 400 IM time that would have been less than 2 years ago, a time that would have scored at NC2As in the women's collegiate division. She swam a 500 freestyle that was, I don't know, maybe 10 seconds better than she'd ever been in her life. Then we go to a Grand Prix meet in the spring in Missouri, in Columbia, Missouri, at the University of, and she hadn't, to be fair, she hadn't swum a long course 400 IM in quite a long time. The Olympic trials cut was, I believe, 4:56. I'm guessing. I think her best time was in the 5:05, 5:06, 5:07, 5:08, something like that. And because she didn't have a qualifying time just because she hadn't swum it long course in such a long time, we had to enter her with the time that she did at this meet, that 400 IM short course yard. So she ended up having to swim later in the morning. Most of the people had gone back to the hotel to rest, and she went a time that ended up being the second qualifying time. She went 4:49. She had a time that would have semifinaled at Olympic trials this year. She just has all of this innate ability. The thing I like best about Allie is she understands how good she can be. I understand how good she can be. We've just got to line ourselves up and make it happen at the big meet for her. And to me, that's a great thing. It's an absolute great thing. Because she's been swimming probably since she's about the age of 5 or 6 or 7 years old, starting out in Alpine Hills and made her way over here. That's about 10 years, let's say. If she swims the full breadth of the rest of her swimming career, including maybe a couple years after she graduates, the sky's the limit. She really is one of the bright stars of United States swimming, and she has a great upside. So congratulations. All right, our final award this evening is our most valuable team member. One of them should be no surprise, she's not here this evening. She's a freshman at the University of Southern California. In her 10 plus years in our program, she's basically reinvented what the standard of good swimming is in our team, in our program, in our LSC, and in some cases nationwide. A kid who's very unassuming to see walking down the street at 5'8". You really wouldn't, maybe not even 5'8". Maybe 5'7" on her tiptoes. But again, very unassuming, but when she's in the water, there's no mistaking who she is and what she can do. We got her pretty far. We got her to a lot of places she would have never thought she could make it to. She was on international trips. She got to visit countries all around the world, represent our country, and do a lot of fantastic things. At the end of the summer at the U.S. Open, she did a lifetime best in 200 fly, securing her third straight appearance on our U.S. national team, and also securing a spot on our World University Games team next summer. Jasmine Toss. Alright, some of you may have had the opportunity for the first time. You don't see him very often around Rinconada. He's a PhD candidate at Stanford. I said this at our picnic this summer when he was here. He's one of those guys who actually puts the definitive statement on what a student athlete is. Just came to swimming late, went to Stanford out of Washington. I mentioned it this summer. He's one of those guys who got a few people who got a perfect score on his SAT. 4.0 out of high school. Pretty good swimmer too. He swam 4 years at Stanford. Worked on his master's. Continued to train and swim a little bit with the college team, a little bit on his own. And then last year he decided to put some time in with our program. And we were thrilled to have him, just like with Philip and some of the other post-grads we're fortunate to have work with our program. They're great role models, great leaders, great character. In the course of the year, a lot of our seniors got an opportunity to not just know him as the swimmer he is, but got to benefit from the leader and the good teammate he can be. In the course, he'd already come to us fairly well established. He was a person who had scored at nationals in breaststroke, had done pretty well. This year, our goal was to see if we can do something at Olympic trials, to see if we can maybe semifinal, in a perfect world, possibly final. You got to understand, with me, because of his PhD workload, I see him maybe 4 on a perfect week, maybe 5 times. I see him in the morning practices, at a Saturday practice. He does a lot of stuff on his own. He'll go to a master's workout, he'll lift on his own. Occasionally he'll train in the evening on his own. but he does a lot of this through his own dedication. We're fortunate that as the year progressed and we got to know each other a little bit better and we kind of figured out what would work best for him, it all kind of timed the right way. And when we got to Olympic trials, he had one of the better meets of his career. In the 200 breaststroke, he made semifinals, and we knew we'd have to have in semifinals they take the top 16, and what they do is they split the heat up and they circle seed it, so you have to hope you're out of that the fastest 8 to make a final. It would be not an impossibility, but it was going to be a stretch, and he would have to swim well, and he swam well enough where he did make the final, and in finals at Olympic trials he ended up being 6th with a lifetime best. And then he came back, swam 100 breaststroke, is a weaker of his 2 breaststrokes, and still made semifinals, also doing a lifetime best. At the end of that would have been enough to kind of finish up the summer and say, that's all we need to do, we're good. But he decided to go to the U.S. Open, the same meet we took a small group to at the very end of the summer. And primarily there was an opportunity to make the World University Games, but to make our national team, as I alluded to prior with the youth team, you have to be in the top 6 of all American swimmers. So the very best our country has to offer, the Brendan Hansons, the Eric Chanteaus of the world, you have to be in the top 6 to be on our national team. Well, going into the meet, he was 7th. And we knew we were close, we knew we had a chance, and we knew there would be some competition there. He had gone 2:11.4 at Olympic trials, and he ended up in the morning, he qualified, I think, second. And the guy that he needed to race was right next to him. It was a perfect race. The guy who was next to him was a guy who tends to go out pretty fast. He's a big talent, and went out ahead of him. And BJ, I always get nervous watching BJ swim, because if you watch him swim the first 100 of a 200 breast, it looks like he's just doing catch-up breaststroke, kind of going out for a Sunday swim. He's tanning while he's swimming. You're not sure if he's really in the game, but there's guys just going. You know, you typically, like in the 200 breast, for example, he was in 7th place at the 50. He was at 5th place in the 100. At the 150, he was in 3rd. The last 50, he made a move. And again, to everyone else, it seemed like a move, but for BJ, it was just the way he was set up to swim the race. He went by everybody. He won the race. He became the U.S. Open champion. He went 2:10.8, which was in the top 20 times in the world last year. He ended up making our national team and putting a lot of people's heads on notice that this is one of the top athletes on the planet in breaststroke. So for that, I wanted to give you All right. Okay, there's some.
This is Tony, really quick, because he was always there for our group and is always there. He coaches all of our practices, even the ones really early in the morning, and he's there, rain or shine. Even if he's sick, has to take breaks to go throw up in the middle of practice. We just really appreciate all that he's done for us, and we just wanted to
We're going to now have a coaches competition. Ben, Ricky, and Hillary have estimated the amount of time it will take the kids to clean up all the garbage on the pit plate. All the plastic